Hi, I'm Gary Bean, and this is a short tutorial on modifying the source code that is generated from a layout in gbvisualdesigner. For this tutorial, I've taken the liberty of creating an empty layout file to which we will add a button. And now let's generate code from the layout by simply pressing the Build button on the main toolbar. To confirm that the source code works correctly, I'll compile and run the source code. And you can see that the newly created application matches what was drawn in the layout area. Now let's look more closely at the code. To make it easier to see the code, I'll change the configuration to display only the Code tab. By default, the code generator simply adds a section of code that responds to a button click. Let's modify that code in a couple of ways. First, let's set a default font for the dialog and its controls. Let's change the caption of the dialog. And let's add a procedure at the end of the source code listing that will speak a text string. We'll paste that procedure from the quick procedure library that's distributed with gbvisualdesigner. And finally, we'll change the code which responds to the button click so that it calls out the new function. That's all the changes I want to make right now, so let's recompile the code and see how it works. So far so good. Let's press the button and see what happens.
Howdy from Texas.
Success. We have successfully modified the automatically generated source code, made changes, and verified that making the changes was accepted by gbvisualdesigner. Now, I'll close gbvisualdesigner. Files closed in a session will be reopened in the next session. I'll close that, then I'll restart, and you can see that the changes that we made in the prior section are still available. And that's it. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to watch the other tutorials I've made for gbvisualdesigner.